I just found very interesting the story about Osho. I got
Yeah.
the last part of it, and wow, the level of freedom that comes out of what you were sharing, and is so um, challenging also to share. I can imagine because really, like you, I believe there is no right or wrong, and yet you cannot share that freely
Mm.
with people around you because there is a lot of judgment, and so often you kind of have to live your freedom in your own personal way with the filters.
Mm.
Sometimes I wonder if there is another way, or I dream of a community in which there are no filters and one can just explore freely
Yeah.
whatever one feels. Sounds really beautiful.
Yeah.
And the last thing you were sharing also quite insightful, because actually we've been told in society how to feel or not feel certain things, and especially I was born in a little town of 600 people in South Italy, and the mentality was quite closed, and so I grew up with a lot of programming, and somehow
Did
growing
you say
up,
Sicily?
yes.
Yes, sorry.
How do you know?
I didn't. I no. You just said Sicily, no?
Oh, I must have said, I thought I
I.
said South Italy.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I just. The reason that I thought it is just because Sicily is a little different from Italy. Like it's more. I see it as more
Yes, it is.
traditional.
Yes, in fact, we say I'm Sicilian, not Italian,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even the language is different, and it's yeah, it's quite different the culture, and it's a little bit yeah, could be a bit close-minded sometimes.
Mm.
Growing up with those patterns, I realized that then something happened in me, some other programming happened in me to undo all this programming that were, kind of, how would you say, inserted in my consciousness.
Mm.
And somehow something happened to free me up of that. So I often wonder, do we have, have, have full power in deprogramming ourselves? Or is a sort of grace of God that um, come and show us what is true, and then eventually
Mm.
you can undo all those things. I'm talking about this in regard of all the suffering attached to blaming people, or judging people for the way they are. Or do we have really power if we grew up with such a programming, and some people didn't have the touch of grace like I had in a
Mm.
time in which I was in hospital and I was quite a bad condition, and I could see very clearly certain things. And
Mm.
as terrible as it was, then also freed me up from a lot of stuff I don't need.
Mm.
Whew, definitely. But see, if people don't have the gift, and they are so programmed to act in a certain way,
Mm.
is that wrong? Can you blame them? So
No. No.
there is
Yeah.
a
Not to.
deeper acceptance coming in.
Yeah. No. Totally. Totally. Like that. Like everybody is a result of what came before, and a result of this moment, because all there is this moment. So these two opposites. So when I say everybody's a result of what comes before, is your relatives that didn't decide to go into this subject, it's not because they chose or didn't choose, it's because that was the flow of their life, that was their
Okay.
conditionings, their genetic, that was, we don't know why that is. Like maybe they came into life like that, like that's their karma. You could also say that they're us, like that we've watched through as consciousness, we've watched through every possibility. And so they are an aspect of us in time. We look at time as linear, but it could be that time is not linear and that we're experiencing simultaneously, but not simultaneously. So so you kind of like, you were your dad, you were your uncle, you were your children at another point in time watching through, but yet at the same time simultaneously. It's all really mind-blowing how it works. It's way more complex than what we can possibly comprehend. But everybody is acting out a program that is, you could say, predestined, but there is no destiny, so that word is redundant in the end. But it's like everybody, like you got into it because of the grace of God, and they didn't get into it because of the grace of God. But they are you, so the fact like everybody in the end is going to get into this, like life is going to go in and wake itself up. It's just not happening in the time frame in which we expect. So everything that everybody does contributes to you now hearing this. Everything that we do now contributes to the future generations hearing this. It's not like we imagine where there is this linear time that everybody's acting out a life that is happening together. Like that watching, which is watching you, is the same with watching your father. And it's doing it all simultaneously and yet not. So you could say your father and your child is your past lives. You could also say your future lives dependent on the way you want to look at it, but that sounds really crazy. But it's really beautiful. I can only say it because of this current moment in time, like YouTube doesn't ban me for my insanity. Their algorithms can't work out how insane I am.
Well, what is insanity? I don't think there is anything that you can call like that either.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I wish we understand that as well in this society, you know. It would be so much more accepting. But the understanding somehow, this intuitive understanding of really basically nobody's in control.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a sort of destiny that some temporary individualized consciousnesses are in those bodies are kind of getting free from heavy patterns and really experiencing the freedom that is beyond whatever is happening outside, and some others still have to experience somehow those heavy burden of these illusions.
You could also say that it's you that has to experience the heavy burdens, because you could also say, like, who is the person, like, who is watching them? Like it's the same energy that's watching them. So you could also say, like, so when you see your relatives with heavy burdens, you could say from the greater perspective, like, you still have to watch these greater these burdens. True. Because it's the same consciousness looking from both angles.
Sometimes the mind wonders about this great dream, what it is all about.
Yeah.
And
then, what Tony Parsons would like to say is nothing. Like, so as soon as you said that, that's what wanted to come, like nothing. And I could just imagine him like, nothing, yeah!
Yes. That's what came to me as I was telling you. Basically, and even if there is a great, an incredibly vastly intelligent plan, still we can't get to it from where we are now with the limitation of perhaps this brain, this body. So rather enjoy the mystery of it and enjoy that freedom in the background that is always there, like the silence underneath every sounds, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds coming and going, but silence is always there. And I find it's the same with the fragrance of presence. Anything that happens in my life and I get identified for a moment, and then there is that fragrance call me, wait, Paolo, this is, of course, this is not real at the end, you know. So and the person doesn't know what he's doing. And it's such a freeing process that, of course, just happening.
Yeah.
And I find... at the same time, it's so freeing, and I wish to share it with my students. I have a big number of students I teach some meditation to, and they, when I say this is your fault, or it's not your fault of, you know, that person, many of them really struggle with that idea, you know, because they need to give the fault to someone, and then I stop even trying to share it. I just deepen my intuitive understanding, and perhaps that's all I can do.
Yeah, totally. Like when they're ready to hear that, it will be the perfect moment in time. Just going back on what you said, was I don't know what it was, but I just felt this urge, this energy that wanted to come up and express about. So I had this teacher called Sangharakshita. He led the foundation of the Western Buddhist order, and he used to say the highest beings, like nearest to enlightenment in the society, next to spiritual teachers. I mean, you can poo-poo this, like not just you, but everybody can poo-poo this. It's just what he used to say. But I could see some beauty in it. He would say the ones like next to the spiritual teachers, like the closest to enlightenment, are artists. Like and what I found beautiful in that and the way that he spoke about it was that, you know, to be a true artist, or my interpretation of a true artist, is to be creative for nothing. So it's not about becoming famous. It's not about writing a great book or painting a great picture. It's to paint. It's to create. So sometimes, like, the best books that I enjoy or that I like is not ones that have a point. It's like they're telling their story innocently, and a story is coming across, but it doesn't have a point. It doesn't really have a proper ending. It's more about the journey of the story, and you kind of learn through that journey of the story, not through trying to teach something, or not through trying to be something, or not through trying to get to something. And so when Sangharakshita used to say that, he used to also go on to then say, so it used to be like it would be like the artists, and then he would say it's men, and then something else, and then women. Like, women are almost at the end. Like, so it's not like I'm bowing down to what Sangharakshita said. He would be like, yeah, women are like the last to get enlightened. But if you're an artist and a woman, then you're at the beginning. But just women in general. So it's not like I'm bowing down to him. But I just used to really appreciate about what he'd say about artists, because in a way you can see that's the same with life. Like, maybe like this idea of meaning is such a cage. Like, it's just it's about creation. It's about creativity. And creativity doesn't have space for meaning. Like, in a way, we harbor creativity with the notion of meaning.
It almost loses some quality, some beauty, basically, when you try to understand it. It is such an unexplainable sense of freedom into that, that picture, that piece of art that we are, and in the not knowing of what we are exactly, and how and where this journey is going. When you let go of that, actually there is just a lot of peace, and there is more fulfillment that you will get if you try to understand it, and if you get a good enough understanding of it. That couldn't be compared with the level of peace that comes forth if you actually let go into the reality that you not know, and just are breathing the essence of this moment. And yes, definitely, it's always very important to come back to share about this, because we are too much bombarded in daily life, from so many concepts and ideas and way that you should be, and people judging part of you, too free or wrong or whatever. And then you remember, it's all part of it, and nobody's right or wrong, and nobody is to blame. It's wow, so needed to have those talks.
Beautiful. And I'm sure, like the people that come to your talks are getting exactly what they need out of it, even if you can't talk about no self, or these go deeper into that area. Like they are finding exactly like what they need in that moment, which is perfection, which is beauty. Like they don't need anything more. Like, so to just sit up there and just to express to them, like, just what is coming through you in that moment. And even if it is more on the superficial life, about making their life better, that is absolute perfection. and
Yes,
beautiful.
it is. It is true, and also even the one that are the most AD and kind of try to be right instead of sharing and listening. They keep coming back, so there must be something that they're definitely getting
Yeah,
from
totally.
my way of sharing. And once I come to an understanding, I can't hide it, and so I'm honest about the way I feel and about the level of freedom that is already here, without having that need to strive and to reach it and to be the one who got it, because also I can see that even pride doesn't exist if you see that things just happen to you. It's not just a sense of blaming people or you
Yeah,
feeling guilty because something come out wrong out of your mouth, for example. But also when grace come to me and show me a freer way and I'm happier, I didn't actually do anything. It just even that happened to me. It's not because I'm cooler than other people. It is such a level whew, of freedom in which then forgiveness and acceptance just can happen. I wish that well, if it were meant to be, there will be more and more the right word coming from my mouth to share this with more people. Like you really beautifully doing. Your work is really inspiring me.
yeah, thanks. I really
Mhm,
don't perceive that or not perceive that, but thank you for everything you say.
mhm. Thank you. And the way you say and the freedom in which you speak is quite touch some chords in me, even the ways in which you are so funny talking about your dog telling you to fuck off. That's the best one. So I love it, and that's the way it should be. I mean, I do not resonate with people that just are so serious and just pretend to be the teacher,
Yeah.
and just that the teacher just has to bear this image that cannot be himself or cannot burp or cannot, it's so refreshing that one can do whatever it comes in the moment. I think that's it's not only the way it should be. I think ultimately that's the only way to be as you are,
Mm.
really. So yeah, thank you for that.
Oh,
It's really
pleasure.
refreshing.
Yeah, thanks, Paolo. Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you for calling in. I enjoyed speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Just even talking and sharing with you um, brings a lot of confirmation and clarity, perhaps just because of the presence listening on the other side. So yeah, thanks again.
Oh, pleasure. Lovely. Bye.
Okay, ciao.